So Core 11 Unit 3, The Chairs, which is written by Eugène Ionesco. So have you ever heard of this writer? No. So he was a leading writer of the theater of the absurd, right? Theater of the absurd. So when you say he was a leading writer of the theater of the absurd, what theater of the absurd means? Absurd means called as something which is illogical, something which is called as what you can say that a kind of a movement, right? That happens in a European drama after World War II, right? Did you understand that? Now, this theater style showed life as what? Useless, meaningless. Sorry to use that useless, but meaningless will be appropriate. So, not only the theater style showed life as meaningless, repetitive, you understand? So, and often comic in a tragic way. Got my point? So, it is indicating that instead of realistic plots and natural conversations, absurdists, those who actually part of the theater of the absurd. So absurdist plays used strange situation, create what? Strange situation, circular dialogues, and symbolic characters. Right. And the goal was to what? Make the audience feel what? Make the audience feel the emptiness. Make the audience feel the emptiness and confusion of modern life. Got my point? So the chairs that was first performed in the year of 1952. Right. So, and this particular theater of the absurd is one of Ionesco's famous plays, right? Or most important plays. Why? Now, because it is usually described as a tragic farce. Tragic farce, right? So, it is a mix of comedy and tragedy. That is why it is known as a tragic farce, right? A mix of comedy and tragedy. I hope you know the meaning of comedy and tragedy, right? The play has only two visible characters. The play has only two visible characters. One is an old man, and another is an old woman, right? So, however, the stage gradually fills up with chairs for individual guests, right? You find out two characters are there, but the stage is filled with what? Individual character, number of chairs for the individual guest, right? So, who are supposed to listen to an important message. Who are supposed to listen to an important message. In the end, if you see that the old man and old woman kill themselves, right? So, living an orator, you understand? Somebody who speaks the dialogue fluently or the statement fluently. So, leaving an orator behind to deliver the message. So, but the orator turns out to be incoherent. Incoherent means called as a not consistent. Something like when you heard of somebody's death, right? You feel into a kind of a tragic situation, you are unable to open the mouth, right? So the orator also speaks or unable to speak properly. Got my point? So in that case, if I say the play is both funny and deeply, you can say that sad, it actually makes the audience laugh at the ridiculous action. Like you must have seen Charlie Spencer Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin, you would find out that it's a tragic farce because you laugh but at the same time, the character suffers a lot, isn't it? So here also we find out the play, the chairs, is both funny and tragic in situation and deeply sad. Why? Because it makes the audience laugh at the ridiculous action of the characters, but it also forces the audience to think about loneliness, right? The search for meaning, old age, and the failure of communication, right? So, this ideas will actually break the play into simple parts. What are they? The plot, characters, themes, symbolism, language, philosophy, and final message. Right? Final message. The goal is what actually? The goal is to make it very clear that what. So even someone new to drama can understand it easily. Right? Now, did you understand the plot, characters, themes, symbolism, language, philosophy, and final message? Okay, give me a second. Final message. Let's go with the plot, right? So we will just do it like means scene by scene, right? And we will understand the summary of it, right? So if you say that the play, the chairs, takes place in a circular room, you understand? So the play, the chairs, takes place in a circular room surrounded by water, right? And there are many doors and windows, and outside there is a suggestion of a strange, isolated world, right? So, what does it try to tell? It tries to tell that there are two worlds, right? One that's placed with a circular, surrounded, and the other one is called as and covers with the doors and windows. And there is a outside which filled with the people who have a suggestion of whom? Those of the people who are strange to us. Those of the people who make us isolated, isn't it? So that is what. The opening scene of the text indicate that the old man and the old woman both were very old and probably 95 and 94 years old. And they enter. They are married. They are married. You can say that they are married couple who live in complete isolation. Got my point? Like we generally do what no parents को अकेले छोड़ देते हैं, right? Similar to that, here also you would find out there are married couple who live in a complete isolation. So the old man is sad and feels his life has been wasted. The old man who said that his life has been wasted, isn't it? He constantly said he could have been a great man but never had the courage. Isn't it? He could have been a great man but never had the courage. So that's what the old man's sadness. The old woman tries to cheer him up, make him cheer, right? Calling him darling and my love, right? So already we feel their loneliness, right? So, and their attempt to give meaning to their long life, desire for long life. So, in that case, if you see that the characters, you find out they're tragic. One is loving too much, one is saying that he could be a big man, right? So, here in the plot, we find out the mission is what the old man believes he has an important message for humanity, right? So, we find out the kind of a lifestyle they maintain. And the second is called it the mission. The mission is called it the old man believes that what he could say, he could send a message for humanity. But he feels he is not able to communicate it himself. Right? So, communicate what? Now, communicate the message for humanity. So, he has invited whom? an orator, right? It means for me, you are going to deliver that message for humanity to the people, isn't it? So, and so he has invited an orator to deliver it to the world. Why? Because he thinks his message will give purpose. Give purpose to whom? Give purpose to humanity. Isn't it? Now, after that, what happened? The guest arrived. The guest. The guest means I'm talking about plurality. The guest. It means many guests arrived. So, and these are the guests are invisible guests, right? So they begin to arrive. The old woman brings chairs for them. Old woman brings chairs for them. One chair, then another, then another. The stage gradually fills with what? Chairs. Right? The guests are imaginary. Now you can't say that they are physically present. The guests are imaginary. The audience cannot see them. But the old man and old woman talk to them as if they were real. Right? They were real or present. Sometimes what happened, we talk to people, even if they are not existed. Right? It seems like what we are talking to ourselves or we are talking to the people. Right? So here also same thing happened. The audience cannot see those guests, but these people talk to them. Soon they welcome all kinds of guests, right? Ordinary people, social figures, and the emperor himself. And these all are imaginary. So who are these people? Social, ordinary, emperor. Got my point? So the stage crowded with the chairs, not with the people, please do remember. The stage crowded with the chairs. The old woman rushes back and forth, adding more and more chairs until what happened? The stage is crammed full. Until the stage is crammed full, filled with the people, filled with the chairs. The old man becomes excited, speaking to the invisible guest, introducing them that this man is so and so, this man is the ordinary, this man is the emperor, right or not? So, and building up the importance of the coming message. Building up the importance of the coming message. Now, the atmosphere becomes what? Chaotic. Chaotic means confused, right? Dilemma, but also comic. Also, comic means what? Funny, humorous. Why? Now, because the audience sees only two people running around. Who are those two people? The old man and the old woman, 94 and 95 years old. So, but they behave as if surrounded by a huge crowd, right? So, the orator, finally, the orator arrives, right? He is the only real third character. Understood? He is the only real third character, but he is strangely disappointing. He is strangely disappointing. It's called as he is also embarrassed, right? Why? Now, the old man and the old woman treat him with respect and hand over their message. Hand over their message. So, then believing that their mission is complete. Their mission is complete. So, they commit suicide. They give their message to the orator and they believe that what the orator will narrate and they commit suicide. Yes, they commit suicide. The old woman jumps out of a window. The old woman jumps out of a window where? Into the sea. Right. So followed by the old man. It means first the old man, second is the old woman. Right. They both jump means out of the window into the sea. Got my point? So now this clearly indicating about the ending portion where we find out the orator begins to deliver the message. Right. This is the ending. No, the orator, because he got the message, he needs to spread that message. The orator begins to deliver the message. At first, he seems very interesting. He seems curious, like what has been written. He seems curious or means he also appears as serious and curious, but he turns out to be deaf and dumb. He turns out to be a deaf and dumb. Deaf, you understand? Deaf. So unable to listen. And dumb is called as a, yeah, so unable to speak also. Deaf and dumb, unable to express himself clearly. Right. So he writes some meaningless signs on a blackboard. Meaningless. That means, which is like people do not understand what the deaf and dumb is saying. Right. So therefore, he writes some meaningful signs. That is why it is called the meaningless sign on a blackboard. The stage is now full of empty chairs and silence. Right. So the message is never communicated. Right. Humanity receives nothing. Right. The play ends in emptiness. Do you see what? Here you would find out that the real message the chairs, what I believe, is giving that nobody is here to listen to the old man or old parents' tragic. Nobody is listening. Nobody is understanding. Why? Because the person who is saying is a deaf and dumb. Right? And what the message is given to him, he is unable to express it. And the people present before him are called as absent. Imaginary. No one is present. No. So the character, when the old man is a 95 years old, feels his life has been wasted, regrets not becoming a great man, believes he has finally found meaning that to pass a message to humanity. His depression and self-doubt, his depression and self-doubt makes what? Makes him tragic because he is dead. But his behavior is often comical. Why comical? Because throughout that stage, both men and old, both old man and old woman was doing the kind of activity that makes the audience uh, feel humor, right? So the old woman is the 94 years old, loving and devoted to the old man who died, followed after her husband, right? So always calls her husband as the darling donkey and honey. Darling, donkey and honey. Isn't it? She constantly encourages him, tries to keep him from falling into despair. Trying to what? Keep him from falling to despair. It means what? It is indicating that uh, the wife is too much loving to the husband, right? So she helps him prepare for the guest and brings in the endless chairs. She represents what? She represents to her husband as the loyalty. She represents her husband as the affectionated, right? But at the same time, she was delusioned, right? So because she shares his fantasy, she shares his fantasy. So when she was also living in a chimera, you can say that. So at the same time, the invisible guest, who we say that what the chairs have been there, but no guest is present, it's all imagined. So it is a wide range of imaginary characters. So where we talk about the friends are there, old friends, important officials are there, ordinary people are there, even emperors, right? So they're not real, but the couple treats them as they are, right? So they represent the what? They represent the old man's desire for and uh, recognition and audience, isn't it? So it indicates that the old man's thought is to share his feelings to teach people, right? So, and when we talk about the orator, the only real means guest expected to deliver the great message, but he is also defective. He is also means defective. He cannot speak properly. So his failure shows what the old man and old woman's message has not been delivered. It has been means, broken. or what is the breakdown of communication, isn't it? So in that case, what we draw from this text is called as the major theme in the text is loneliness, right? So loneliness, or you can say isolation. What loneliness is there? What isolation is there? Loneliness means when you feel alone, nobody is with you. Isolation is called that you don't want to make yourself convivial with others or sociable with others, isn't it? So here the old man and old woman live alone on an island, right? They are desperate for company. They are desperate for company. So they imagine guests. This shows human loneliness, especially in old age, isn't it? Now, the chairs is focusing towards the old age people, how they turn into a particular age, they feel that they are alone. They need somebody, isn't it? Especially in old age. Here, the means they try to find out what the old man wants to give a final message to humanity. He hopes this will justify his existence, right? But the message never arrives. That symbolizes what? The failure of a human attempt, the failure of human attempts to find ultimate meaning, right? So you also find out the theme called communication and miscommunication, right? So when we say that communication and miscommunication, it indicates that much of the play is about talking without real communication, right? So much of the play is about what? Talking without any real communication. The couple talks endlessly, the couple talks continuously, but it feels empty, right? The orator who should communicate the message also cannot, right? So this reflects that the writer Ionesco believe that language often fails to express what means real truth is all about, right? Language often fails to what? To express the reality. One has to understand. Most of the time, our parents don't say anything. Do they say? They don't say. It is our job to understand that reality, isn't it? That's what you will find out, right? So, then how do we consider that this play is the absurdity of life, right? If you say that the endless chairs, the invisible guest, the suicide committed, and the message that is felt, also life as absurd. Life as absurd. It means ridiculous, right? So life as repetitive, right? Life as meaningless, right? So the audience laughs here. The audience laughs at the silliness. The audience laughs at the foolishness, but also feels the sadness behind it, isn't it? Even we also say old age and death. If I say the couple is very old, right, near the end of life, 95, 94. So they look back with regret because one is saying that he could have done so much things, right? So their suicide at the end is both comic and tragic. What is the use of your death? You will die today or tomorrow, right? What is the use of your death? That's what is nothing but the comic. But that's what is also known as a tragic. Because at the age of 95 years old, they committed suicide, which is a very tragic thing. But at the same time, it is a paradoxical. Paradoxical means self contradictory. Because You are saying that how many more days they're supposed to live, isn't it? So, but it is also heart-rending how means really they committed suicide, right? So, in that case, means this is nothing but a release from emptiness, right? So they feel like nothing is their life. So in that case, here we find out the chairs, the title represent what? The emptiness of human existence. If you think that your existence matters the most, there's nothing, right? So they feel the stage, but they are all empty from the heart, isn't it? You may invite many of the guests to your marriage party, right? But after your marriage, people will tell what means, people will tell that how the food was. They try to find out what are the negative things, how does that room look like, isn't it? And this could be even better, or this could be even called as a maybe the father must have some of the corrupted money or unethical money. That's why he lavishly spent a lot, isn't it? Now, this is the means resemblance that the chairs are filled with the guests, but they have nothing in them, right? So that's what they fill the stage, but they are all empty. Humanity is a search for meaning of an end in nothingness, right? We all see that what so many people means at the roadside, right? But imagine that out of 10 or 20, one will have that kindness that help the man who wants a lift, right? But other people have a fear, or other people have the disinterest, isn't it? So that is what you would find out here. The chair symbolizes. Understood? What does the chair symbolizes? The chairs symbolizes or represent the emptiness of a human's existence. Right? They may fill the stage on the chair, right? But they are all empty. Humanity is such. If you search humanity, then you won't find out often ends with or ends in nothingness. Right? The orator is called as the speaker, right? So symbolize failed communication. The reality is not been expressed to the audience. That is the symbolism. The orator who failed communication is called as it symbolizes that the reality has not been communicated. Humanity cannot express its deepest truth. That's what it tries to say. The sea where they jump actually. So that represents death and the unknown. Because we don't know what happens after death. It's an oblivion. Oblivion means nobody knows what happens after the death. And nobody knows also what happens before the birth also. The couple jumps into it, disappearing forever. Right? So in that case, the chairs, the orators, the sea, orator, the sea, the last is called the individual guest. So that symbolizes what? That symbolizes society. That symbolizes recognition. That symbolizes the illusion of importance. It means importance is there, but they all are not going to deliver anything. So Ionesco did what? The way he organized, the way he coherently presented the story or the play. So, where the author uses the kind of a language and style, you would find out the dialogue is repetitive many a time, and the dialogue is circular too, right? The couple who uses childish nicknames, right? Like which are funny but so sad, right? So, but also sad. Sentences often go nowhere. Sentences often go nowhere. It doesn't know where to start, where to end, right? So it shows the emptiness of language, right? So you can say that this is a hallmark. This is a symbol. Hallmark means symbol of the theater of the absurd. Now, if you get a kind of a question called, what do you mean by theater of the absurd? Now, you can present the example of the chairs written by Eugène Ionesco, right? So, you can talk about that, how the language and style, how means the dialogue, right? How means the names are given, how means you can say that order of the sentences, and how the language that has no value or less value. So, and that's what is nothing but a hallmark of the absurd of the theater, right? A theater of the absurd. So, in this actually test, Ionesco plays UNESCO play suggested that what human beings long for or desire for meaning. Human beings desire for meaning. Human beings means desire for meaning, but life often feels meaningless to them. Right. So we are trying to, or we try to communicate, but what's fail us? Right. So old age intensifies loneliness and regret, and death comes as the final silence. It reflects as what it reflects existential philosophy. Now, again, you would find out theater of the absurd and existentialism or existential philosophy, right? So it says that life has no inherent meaning. Life has no inherent meaning, something which is created. No. So we must. Inherent means inborn. Life has no inborn meaning. So we must make it meaningful. But even then, when we try to create it meaningful, even if we try to, but we fail to communicate. We fail to communicate, isn't it? So at last, you would find out the chairs is both a comedy and tragedy. So comedy because the endless chairs, invisible guests, and silly nicknames of these old men, man and old woman, and you talk about that. Everything looks like ridiculous, right? Like mentally abnormal, isn't it? So, and that's the reason why audience gets the opportunity to find humorous in the play. Second is called a tragedy because behind the laughter, behind the fun, behind the humor, right? It also lies emptiness. It lies loneliness. It lies death. So therefore, you would say that the topic, the chairs, can be known as a what? Tragedy and comedy. Right. So the play forces us to think about our own lives. What about our own life? Imagine that. Are we seeking meaning where they may be gone, where there may be none? We feel like what he, I. So you are, we all are nothing but somehow associate with the somebody. But how many days, right? And for what reason we associate, right? Are we leading her to the right path? Are we making her happy in all contexts? Are we doing that? Isn't it? So, as a human being, what our job, our priority should be helping to the means old age people, right? And help to the mankind, work for the mankind. But we don't do that, right? So we always means what you can say that we always busy with our own fulfillment, own self fulfillment, isn't it? Do we really communicate with others, or we just talk without connection? Right? We just talk without connection. right? So, what legacy will we leave behind? So, the way we are doing, the way we are means, living. So, means, I believe that what after this, people will only live with their life and they will be with the technology, isn't it? Now you can see that. So Ionesco doesn't give easy answers, right? So instead, he leaves the reader with the silence of empty chairs, right? A powerful image of human existence, right? That's understood.